And we're live. New experiment tonight. Wonder if I should wait for people to show up. Buddy Sklar, first one to join. Thank you. Welcome. So, plan for this evening's experiment is a little bit more organized than my last whiteboard and book experiment. That I am David Swindle. And I'm trying to make things a little more interesting. We'll see how it turns out. That I've got like some mood light kind of starry things, and I thought it'd be kind of cool. Put them a little bit on the whiteboard, make it a little interesting. I've got two of them, each doing different things. I don't know what'll work. It's an experiment. Feedback is always appreciated. Anyway, David Swindle, God of the Desert, which refers to the God of Israel, the God of the Bible. Though more broadly, abstractly, God of the Desert. Digital Media Studios. And there's Jasmine over there snacking on her dinner in the background because I'm just doing this out of my living room. So she's, of course, over there snacking in the kitchen, and she'll probably make a cameo soon. But anyway, the plan tonight is what I've been meaning to gear up to do. I am fanatical about the library because I was raised by a librarian. So I'm usually checking out anywhere from 40 to 60 books at a time from just public library. And I'm always putting more books on hold. Basically, my method is if I need to research something, then I'm going to check out as many books as I can that seem relevant. So, like right here, book on disinformation, internet misinformation. That's due back at the library soon. Or here, this one is due back. I've been on a huge Mark Twain kick lately. I need to get my own copy of this Ron Chernow grand biography of Twain. It's really good. So yeah, I haven't been in a rush to finish it and get it back to the library because I'm like I need to get my own copy when it's time for me to refocus on Twain. But anyway, you're here for my latest haul at the library. I was just there a few days ago, and I picked up books because I've been doing research um, on the origins of the conservative movement, William F. Buckley Jr., inspired by, I suppose I should grab them, set the stage a little bit. I talked about them last time. So this is all centered around, I was very excited by this one. This was excited to finally get this William F. Buckley Jr. biography, grand biography by Sam Tannenhouse, the official biography. And as I mentioned in my last live stream, um, I should leave that. I can move this around. I don't know. It's an experiment. So this book is the grand failure of biography. Stephen, thank you for joining us. I was just beginning. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything. David Swindle, God of the Desert Digital Media Studios, CEO, publisher, chief troublemaker. Karen, thank you for joining us too. I'm just going through my library ebooks. I'm just saying I'm a library obsessive because I was raised by a librarian. So the library is like my place of sanctuary. I've got my whiteboard here, and I'll talk, and my hands, intentionally wearing a bunch of rings to make it more interesting and to have the whole wizard persona. So, but just an experiment as I'm still developing this style of just kind of talking about the books and things of interest. So this Buckley book is a big failure, as I talked about in my last live stream. And it's a big failure not only because it has very entertaining liberal bias, which you'd expect, because it's Sam Tannenhouse and New York Review of Books and very much, establishment liberal. And that's fine, because it's fine to have that perspective. But it's a failure because I knew it was a failure when I got to page 700 and he was still talking about Richard Nixon. He only dedicates the last 100 pages of the book to the last 30 years of Buckley's life. Total failure. Total failure. I thought I'd emphasize that, but ooh, I can do that. Cinematography. Total failure. To do the Buckley biography and to just race over the 80s. It's criminal. I've ranted about it already. But anyway, so I'm thinking more about the conservative movement, this conservative movement that I've been a part of, that I had stumbled into when I went to work with David Horowitz and got mixed up with Andrew Breitbart and Ben Shapiro and then PJ Media and then stumbled into Middle East Forum and all this counter jihad and stuff that I've been doing. So anyway, it's personal. It's not just like academic. It's like, okay, I've been in this movement and know people at the Heritage Foundation and people at publications here. And so, and it's personal. It's not just like abstract. So like read this new biography, Man Who Invented Conservatism, about Frank S. Meyer. Really into Frank S. Meyer. He was the conservative intellectual that when I moved from left to right, I really got into him. He's just great. And if I'm going to promote him, I suppose here it is. Here it is. In Defense of Freedom and Related Essays. This was his book that came out in early '60s, kind of manifesto-ish. I should have picked something, an excerpt or something. In Defense of Freedom, a Conservative Credo. My intention in writing this book is to vindicate the freedom of the person as the central and primary end of political society. I am also concerned with demonstrating the integral relationship between freedom as a political end and the basic beliefs of contemporary American conservatism. Now, in terms of contemporary American conservatism, what are we talking about here? When was this published? I think the first edition of it was in the early '60s. So this was conservatism as it was being built. Let's see, it should be in here. Yeah, Conservative Credo, 1962. I feel like such a geek. Live streaming on Substack, talking about conservative political philosopher book from 1962. Yes, this is absurdly geeky. Ah! Yeah, absurdly geeky. But whatever, because it's God of the Desert books, and I know some people are going to appreciate and be interested. So anyway, this is a context that I'm planning to do a nice, thorough review, comparing and contrasting these two books in particular as these new biographies. That this is the real story. That Frank S. Meyer's story is the real important one. He's the one that developed the idea of conservatism, mainstream conservatism, this blending of traditionalism, social conservatism, with individualism, libertarianism, with the glue, of course, being anti communism. The other book, oh, dang it, where did I put that one? Here it is. Here it is. I haven't finished this one yet, but it's great so far. Ronald Reagan. That tells the story um, that the Buckley book leaves out of what did Reagan do in the 1980s. It's by Paul Kengor, who's a wonderful historian. And I mentioned earlier in the live stream that I did at the park one of these books. There, here it is. After Kengor, this is what he became known for: is this Reagan biography that's really focused on the '80s. Like I am. Yeah, I'm like 90 pages into it or so, and it's really getting into the '80s now. So there's plenty here. This is realized that the important story of Reagan is the '80s, and but that wasn't the interesting story to Tannenhouse. Because if you take out the '80s and you just look at Buckley in the '60s, '50s, '60s, and '70s building this conservative movement, then you're like, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is Reagan. So anyway, because I'm an idiot, I had to go and get a bunch of other books to do additional research because it's like, oh, I found out a bit of I'm reminded of this person, reminded of that person. So, um, yeah, I thought since I'm experimenting with the live stream now and playing with it, let's do, let's show you the other books that I got. First of all, ah, so my previous live stream today, I read a little bit from this one. Paul Kangor's Principles of Reagan Conservative. I remember when this came out. This came out. When I was still really active in conservative blogging. I think I was at PJ Media at the time. So this was published. It's a nice little book. I like thin little manifesto-y type. You know, padded out a little bit, but this I haven't read all. I barely started it because I can. 2014. There we go. 20, yeah. So 2014. I was at PJ Media. That was like the peak of my blogging, blog editing. So this is really good so far. I like it, and I'm gonna revisit it and think about it a lot because now that the Trump movement is starting to collapse, it's time to go back and pull back what was lost. So this is the context of the fruit, really, of the conservative movement is what Reagan did. So that was one of the books I have, and I guess top of mind now because it should be a quick read, except that I can't focus at all. I mean, I was lucky to get through these two, but it's been so hard reading with the amount of anxiety that I've been having. So anyway, next book in line. Okay, I'm just going to pull these out at random. This is I'm trying to do an improvisational, jazzy kind of style. If I say jazzy, then our sweet dog Jazzy will potentially come running in. She'll make a cameo at some point. Okay, so first book I'd pull out at random. Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this one. Why We Did It by Tim Miller. This being a travelogue from the Republican road to hell. I don't know if you guys know Tim Miller. Probably most of you do. The Bulwark has his hair cut differently now. I like him a lot. I've talked about this. I'm open about this. That I'm basically a Bulwark neoconservative. I'm annoyed at myself that I've stumbled into that, but that that is what it is. I've just stumbled into that part of the conservative movement, the anti-Trump, never Trump remnant, hawkish remnant. So I like him. He has similar perspective of me um, on a number of things, but different background. So this is his version of the story, I guess, of how um, I'll read here. Former Republican political operative Tim Miller answers the question no one else has fully grappled with. Why did normal people go along with the worst of Trumpism? Normal people. Okay. Looking forward to that. It's funny so far. Now, now this American Psychosis, a historical investigation of how the Republican Party went crazy. Okay. So now this one is obviously coming from the never Trump neoconservative bias, which is fine because I have that bias. And Kengor, by the way, he's obviously coming from the pro Reagan bias, pro Reagan conservative. He's also he's Catholic, so he has that perspective. Looking forward to his biography of the Pope coming out soon. This one, if you pick up this book, what kind of bias do you guys suspect that it would have? I'm sure some of you on there probably know. David Corn. Oh man, he's so old now. See, for me, I got into this stuff 25 years ago. That's when I was graduating high school and getting into college, and getting into stumbled into political science major. David Corn, Washington bureau chief for Mother Jones magazine, analyst for MSNBC. Yeah, he's very prominent for 25 years, left-wing journalist. So this would be very much a leftist, left-wing in perspective. I mean, I wouldn't say leftist like hard leftist. He's more like, I guess, progressive left-wing. Um, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it's got some interesting dirt. Historical investigation of how the Republican Party went crazy. It'll be interesting to get his diagnosis. I think I understand. I have my views. I've checked out this book before, Conservative Sensibility by George Will, but I've never read it. I've checked it out years ago because I do this. I research political ideologies. Tales from the Underworld join. Oh, perfect. I'm giving you guys the right wing underworld or my perspective from it. Of these library books I've checked out for doing my research into going to do a book review essay on the Buckley book, Buckley biography. So I'm checking out a bunch of other books. So anyway, I'm just ranting about these various, about a dozen or so books that I picked up at the library. All holds. I think they were all holds. I didn't get anything else. Yeah, all holds, except for I got this great, well, you'll see. It'll be a surprise. At the Yucca Valley Public Library, they have a library book sale room, hardbacks for $1. It's amazing. I'll write that down. Give a little promotion there. Well, I mean, who are you? Well, yeah, Yucca Valley Friends of the Library book sale. So now I usually go to the library at least once a week to pick up holds and return stuff that's due. Though I just found out they don't charge fines anymore. How wild is that? Libraries not charging people fines for late fees. Okay. I still feel guilty. I still feel guilty. Like anyway, conservative sensibility. George Will. I haven't read this because it is this is almost 600 pages, and I'm afraid of big books. I'm a book publisher. I'm English major. I don't like big books. I mean, and the grand biographies like these, I am not a fan because I find them intimidating. I prefer, you can see here, I prefer having like piles of books and jumping around and finding connections between them. That's my method. Instead of like taking one book and digging in and obsessing over it, I would rather have a number of books and I read a little bit of this and make a connection. And then when I really get it, saying, okay, I'll focus on it. So if it's going to be a 500, 600 page book, you got to focus on it or else you'll get lost. So like I had to really focus on the Buckley book, which was okay. I wasn't doing well. So I haven't read this George Will book, not just because it's a big book and it looks boring, but because George Will is boring. He's always been boring. He's the boring conservative. You know, it's his brand, boring conservative. And my brand is counterculture conservative, psychedelic conservative. In the desert, live streaming. Um, but I'm not quite as exciting because I'm doing the non-alcoholic beer. I'm not doing alcohol right now because of my anxiety. I got anxiety diagnosis a few weeks ago. Mm. So I haven't been drinking that much alcohol in general, but I know I don't need it now while I've got the anxiety. I'm also cutting out the caffeine. So counterculture conservative, and this is boring conservative. This is boring conservative stuff. The founder's epistemological assertion, the progressives' revision, an emancipation from natural rights block, progressivism's institutional consequences, the judicial supervision of democracy. That's yeah. It's the dry version of conservatism. I prefer the hawkish anti-communist version. That's more interesting to me, which is what Frank S. Meyer was. Frank S. Meyer was ex-communist, knew about communism from the inside. That's my preference. Anyway, so I think this is probably going to be boring and mostly useless, but I'll give it a shot. Let's see. I should use more of the board, shouldn't I? It is getting too hot in here. I should turn down the heat. Turn down the heat. Geez, why is it so? The temperature is not very good. Not very good control. Turn down the heat a little bit. I'll even open the door a little bit. Gets it to the edge. Okay. Okay. Next book I'm pulling out at random. Let's give this a look. The Conservatives, Ideas and Personalities Throughout American History. Patrick Allett. Now, this is one I just got because it's like, okay, it's about conservatism. We have Goodrich C. White, professor of history and director for the Center for Teaching and Curriculum at Emory University. I'm not familiar with him. I guess he's just he's just a political science academic, probably. Even-handed comprehensive account of conservative thought in America from the Constitutional Convention to the present. Yeah. So this is more straight political science perspective, which I'm fine with. And I will comment on maybe a few people. The Federalists, Southern conservatism, Northern antebellum conservatism and the Whigs, conservatism in the Civil War, conservatism after the Civil War, conservatism. Oh, yeah. So I'm not a fan generally of this way of thinking about conservatism. Yeah. Let me rant about this for a second. Yeah. This is a good point to make. This is a good point. I will write this down to emphasize this question. When did conservatism start? You know what I mean by that? Like when do you actually say the tradition begins? Who was the first conservative in the American tradition or in the British tradition? When does it? Who says when it starts? When does it begin? And everybody has their own claims about it. So, like this book here, we'll jump into. We'll start with the Federalists. The wants to make the case that the Federalist Party, which would have been George Washington and John Adams, Alexander Hamilton, versus where am I getting it mixed up? Anyway, versus versus the initial Democratic Republicans, Thomas Jefferson, more Southern parties. So they're saying the Federalists are their first conservatives, but then they're explaining the Southern form of conservatism, and they're putting the Whigs in that context. I don't like to do this. Adam Rosen, thank you for joining our discussion about the random right wing books that I got from the library as I'm doing research into conservative movement and American right and from all sorts of perspectives. So I was just ranting about the point that I don't really like this, like, oh, if we jump back in history, we can say that this person was a conservative and offered conservative, and we can reap and pull. I don't like doing that. I think that conservatism started here. Frank S. Meyer put together and created the mainstream conservative movement and developed it and created it into a political force. I think it's post-war, it's created there. Yeah, lots of things. So yeah. So anyway, um, that if you reach back further, I mean, you can, it's just reaching back. That was when it was really said and created. We're trying to create a main. So ideas and personalities throughout American history. So this is going to be This is gonna be interesting. There. Frank Meyer, like Burnham, had studied at Princeton and Oxford. Going on from there to the London School of Economics, he had been a communist organizer, editor, and teacher throughout the Great Depression, first in London, then in Chicago, separating from the Communist Party at the end of World War II. And like Whittaker Chambers, fearing that he might be assassinated, he lived nocturnally in a secluded farmhouse in upstate New York, reading conservative anti communist literature extensively while scratching a living out of work for Freeman, the American Mercury, and other magazines. He befriended Buckley and after 1955 became the book review editor of National Review and author of its regular column, Principles and Heresies. Jazzy girl, you barking at somebody? Jazzy, you want to make your cameo now? Sweetheart girl. Jazzy girl. She is a wonderful watchdog. Always on the defensive for us. Meyer gradually worked out a conservative fusionist position, explaining why seemingly opposed groups in the movement, free market libertarians and traditionalists, actually need each other and should work together. Free market economics, he reasoned, generates wealth and prevents the concentration of too much power in the state. Its supporters are right to be concerned about protecting individual freedom, but they ought not to regard freedom as an end in itself. Men must use their freedom to strive after virtue. This was a point the traditionalists understood well, but traditionalists had weaknesses too. They often seemed willing to accept irrationality and to settle for authoritarian government, forgetting that only people who are free can pursue virtue. Let me emphasize that again. Only people who are free can pursue virtue. That seems like that's worth being written down. Yeah, yeah. Let's write that down. Hope I'm not getting too Glenn Beckish. Well, I'm doing a different thing. I'm doing whiteboard live streaming. So I'm going to emphasize this now. This is a wonderful point. This tripod thing here. It's so cool. Okay, point. Only people who are free can pursue virtue. That's a good one thing to remember. Only people who are free can pursue virtue. So, yeah, that's a nice little find there. That's a nice little find. I am going to bookmark that. Okay, very encouraging. Just stumbled upon the Frank Meyer bit in this one. Nice. Okay. Um, what do I pull out next at random here? Oh, okay. This is not a right wing book, but you'll see why it fits. Let's clear some space. I'm going to leave that quote for now. Yeah, I wasn't sure what I was going to get with this one, which ideological blend. And yeah, this one has a left wing bias, and that's fine. So So yeah, this is a debunking of the left wing perspective. Oh, and I got this because okay, I need the left wing take on Reagan Revolution and why the right wing version of that story is nonsense. So I'll get their version of it. See what that spin is. Well, I mean, I've known that spin. Of course, being in the movement, have to hear why do people reject the idea that Reagan was a positive force and positive for the economy, positive for defeating the Soviet Union. Mm. Yeah, yeah, that's good. I can't believe I've gotten into non-alcoholic beer. It's the geekiest thing. Okay, here's something relevant. Here's something very relevant. Mr. Sam Tannenhouse. Mr. Buckley Failure, Sam Tannenhouse. I remember when this book came out. This was initially an essay in the New Republic. New Republic. Death of Conservatism, and he expanded it to book length because cash grab. Yeah, 2009. It's like the Obama era, and it said that because Obama won, that was the death of conservatism. Wishful thinking. I I mean, I guess he was years late. I mean, anyway, we'll see. I don't. It's been a while since I revisit since I saw some of this, but I mean, he is a very talented writer. I can understand and why Buckley picked him to be his official biographer, but it was the dumbest mistake he could have made. I mean, absolutely stupid. So, uh, so this is just an essay polemic. I don't know what'll I'm sure it'll be interesting. I think he wrote this while he was researching the early parts of the Buckley biography. Or what happened with the Buckley biography is that he just got so bogged down in researching the 50s and the 60s and that stuff, and then he just never got to the later period. So this book I think really reflects that period of the research. Um, next, okay, this is interesting. Russell Kirk. Um, So there are many different little founders of modern conservatism, American conservatism, and many editors and key contributors of National Review. And Russell Kirk is a key one. And I don't really care for him. Yeah, when I was going through and evaluating which teams I was going to be, I'm not on Team Kirk. And the reason for that is very simple. No. I need brighter than that. That's not going to do. Let's just write it in black. Neoconservatism versus paleoconservatism. Class, would anybody like to explain the difference between neoconservatism and paleoconservatism? Okay, I will. So, in the 1970s and 80s, a group of former left-wing and liberal intellectuals joined the right and the Republican Party, and they were known as neoconservatives. And they took a hawkish position on Israel and on fighting communism, and a more moderate to liberal position on social issues and on economics. Famous phrases: "A neoconservative is a liberal mugged by reality," and that prompted a pushback in the 80s of conservatives that were more in the tradition of before the Cold War, before World War II. And Pat Buchanan was the real charger of that, and people pushing against the neoconservative view, oftentimes coming at it from a really anti-Semitic perspective, um, and that's what we see today, the heirs of that tradition. And Russell Kirk kind of falls into that camp. I don't know if I'd call him anti-Semitic. I haven't dug that deep enough to make that judgment on him. But in general, he's in that older tradition of old schools type conservatism, and became known for his book, um, "The Conservative Mind." And in this version, this looks to be a pretty kind of hagiography kind of. I mean, we'll see how critical it is. Um, When people look to the founding of the modern conservative movement, they must ultimately look to Russell Kirk, 1918 to 1994, author of the groundbreaking treatise, The Conservative Mind. Kirk defined conservative political thought for the post World War II era. I would disagree. I would disagree. He was one influence, but I don't really care for him. But so I'll take a look at his perspective, and but in general, I don't like it. And also personally, just from what I've read of him personally and his interests and so forth. Okay, next one. Gee, I wonder what position this one comes from. That was sarcastic. It's obviously left wing, I think. Nancy McLean. Behind the mask of chivalry. Freedom is not enough. William H. Chafee, professor of history and public policy at Duke University. Okay, yeah. What is really behind as America to what is really happening to American politics behind the headlines of billionaires taking over our government and the surprising story of a secretive cause with deep and troubling roots, Democracy in Change uncovers the history of the well-heeled radical right's vast network and explains why this movement doesn't want simply to change who rules, but to fundamentally alter the rules of democratic governance as we have known it in the United States. And when did this one come out? 2017. Almost 10 years old, jeez. So it might be interesting now to look at the okay, this is what was predicted that far ago, and what's going on now? I don't know. Not not impressed yet, not very interested. Okay, we're almost done. Only have 3 left. This one will be interesting. This looks to be another left-wing, more academic approach. Kevin M. Cruz, a professor of history at Princeton University and the author or co-editor of 4 books, including the award-winning White Flight. He lives in Princeton, New Jersey. We're often told that the United States was and always has been a Christian nation, but in one nation under God. Historian Kevin M. Cruz reveals that the idea of a Christian nation is an invention, and a relatively recent one at that. As Cruz argues, the belief that America is fundamentally and formally a Christian nation originated in the 1930s when businessmen enlisted religious activists in their fight against FDR's New Deal. Corporations from General Motors to Hilton Hotels bankrolled conservative clergymen, encouraging them to attack the New Deal as a program of pagan statism that perverted the central principle of Christianity. Okay, so these are the kind of like left wing critique books of explaining, okay, these are the networks of right wing billionaires and the foundations and that they create and nonprofits, and they send money here and that goes here, and this is to back up their business. And yeah, yeah, I understand. I've worked for some of those organizations. I understand, and it's interesting. Um, oh God, uh, I should emphasize this point maybe. The 501c3 and the nonprofit world. That's my world that I've been in most. I mean, I've had some times of working at for-profit companies, but it's mostly been working at charities because there's not a whole lot of money in right wing this or that. Um, there's exceptions, but 501(c)(3) space. That's what I've learned a lot about is left wing groups and right wing groups and these Islamist groups, and these are the ones that make that pool the money together, and then they dispense it here, and these are the activists, and these are the academics, and these are the publishers, and these are the organizers, and each different ideology will have its own. They're all similar. Like you find the same structure on the left and the right, because you're gonna have billionaires of any sorts of ideologies that want to go and waste their money, you know, spending paying poor writers like me to go and research stuff. Okay, almost done. I've heard about this book for years. Before the Storm, Barry Goldwater and the Unmaking of the American Consensus. This is one that's been around for a while. And look who here. Sam Tannenhouse again is on the cover there endorsing it. Pearlstein retells the story with energy and skill. His vibrant, detailed narrative moves swiftly and brings a large cast to life. So my understanding is that this is like one of the earlier versions telling the conservative movement story. It caused, when Rick Perlstein's Before the Storm was originally published, it caused a critical outburst and went on to win the Los Angeles Times Book Prize for History, telling the story of the Goldwater campaign and the rise of the conservative movement in the liberal 1960s. It was a tale that, until this book, had never been told. William Crystal, bulwark now, but at the time this came out, probably neoconservative in the Weekly Standard at the time. I can barely read that in the dark here I've got, of course, but it says, a detailed and dramatic narrative of the rise of the modern right. It's an amazing story, and Pearlstein, a man of the left, does it justice. Huge book. This is another big one, 600 pages. But this one is Goldwater based, or centered around Goldwater, obviously. And I mean, I, I guess he's okay. I didn't. I wasn't too impressed by Goldwater. In studying him, and um, but I'm not like I don't buy putting Goldwater at the center of conservatism. He was just the candidate that they picked at the time that would fit that. Is sort of my view. I could be wrong. Maybe I'll read this and it'll persuade me, but I don't know. I'd have to. I don't know. Like I've got so many of these, and I don't know which one of these am I going to prioritize. A lot of the books will just sit for weeks, and then I'll go in that, or I may like be or like I'll start reading about so and so, and then I'll pull up the index and be like, what does it say about this person? So that's how it is. You have a bunch of the library books, and then go through and see like what does this say in the index. Okay, I've got one last book that I got by total surprise. I am so proud of this find. This is absurd. Um, this is not a book that I put on hold. This is a book that I found for $1 in the library book sale. And it's a book that I already have. And it's a book that I'm really into and really excited about. And now I've got a better copy of it that I got for $1. Yeah. I've already been ranting and talking about this book for a year now. This is a collection of Alan Moore's short stories, and they're great. And it inspired me to start writing fiction again last year because the writing is just so rich. Just it's so his prose is so complex and vivid and unusual that you have to slow down when you're reading it, and it takes a lot longer to read one page than um than it does a normal book. And it just reminded me reading it how fun it is. That you don't have to rush through a book. You can take a book and go through a paragraph slowly, savoring the language. Let's see, what could we pick at random almost? I don't know. I should plan it ahead of time. It's just wonderful. The lead story in it, the hypothetical lizard, is just haunting and very powerful. I need to reread it again. Um, so should probably give that another read and just talk about that story in a live stream maybe. So now every time I go to the library to pick up holds, return holds, I always check, and because it's gonna because they cycle new stuff in all the time. And to get this for a dollar, seriously, it's ridiculous. I'm so lucky. So that's everything that I got. Just to review, we have the full range of stuff. We got the Russell Kirk biography. We got the conservatives' ideas and personalities throughout American history. We've got George Will's conservative sensibility. We've got David Corn's American Psychosis. We've got 11 Principles of a Reagan Conservative. We've got Tim Miller's Why We Did It, Death of Conservatism by Sam Tannenhouse. Myth America, historians take on the biggest legends and lies about our past. Before the Storm, Barry Goldwater and the Unmaking of the American Consensus. I mean, that sounds like bullshit to me. American consensus? What the heck is that? We've never had an American consensus. Had American compromises and American put up with each other. American consensus, what fantasy. One Nation Under God and Democracy in Chains. And I don't know which one of these. Well, actually, I do know what I'm gonna. This one, because this is a short one, and I need to revisit the principles since I'm all like, okay, it's time to revive the hawkish, principled tradition, anti-communist tradition. I feel like I should keep going, even though I've gone through the books now. Only people who are free can pursue virtue. Only people who are free can pursue virtue. And are we a free people that can pursue virtue? Or that's just a myth. That's just rhetoric. Are in defense of freedom. Yeah. Now, the wonderful thing about Frank S. Meyer that I knew at the time, and I know it even more now after reading the biography, is that his great writing and thinking, he was a partnership with his wife, Elsie Meyer, and she was polishing his prose and editing, and so it was really a team. And it's unfortunate that she didn't get credit at the time, but that was just, the sexism of the period, and that's what she was okay with that, apparently, They shared the same mission, but she was an English major, and when you read his writing, you get that. You get the quality of it. Why freedom? It's the primary proposition that innate freedom is an essential aspect of man's being. I join another proposition of a more specifically political character that social and political organization, however important as a condition of existence, is, like oxygen or water, a condition, not the end, of the life of the individual person. At the best, proper social and political circumstances, like a rich and well tilled seedbed, can provide felicitous circumstances in which a man may work out his fortune or misfortune, his good or ill. At the worst, they may cramp the field of his existence to a compass scarcely recognizable as human, although even then they cannot destroy the self determination of his inner spiritual life. But at best or worst, the social and political situation remains a situation more or less conducive to the wealthy consummation of each man's drama, not a determining factor of it. In one period of happier circumstance, Oliver Goldsmith and Dr. Johnson wrote, "How small of all that human hearts endure, that part which kings or laws can cause or cure." The joint development of modern science and totalitarianism has increased the evil that state power can cause, but there is still a very small part of that which human hearts endure that the state can alleviate. Yeah, yeah. I'm such a geek. I'm sorry. But you guys are watching, so you must as well be. I mean, we're on Substack instead of Facebook or TikTok or whatever. But I don't know. I'm not sure right now. We're in a strange place in America. We're in this strange place where America's being tested, and we don't know what's going to come out because the country has been refounded multiple times. The founders, this is something that I just learned in the last couple of years. America's founders, most of them lost faith in America in their later years. They thought America would fail, and they were right. It did fail with the Civil War, and Lincoln had to create a new country. And then again with World War II and the New Deal, we became a new country. And so right now it's a question of what are we going to be a new country again? Hey, David, thanks for joining. Um, New country yet again because I'm worried. I was worried the other night to walk. I was worried to walk Jasmine by Home Depot. And why was I worried to walk Jasmine by Home Depot? Because of ice and because I've been experimenting with live streaming now, and we know what happens when somebody has a phone and they're near ice. So what happens if when I was walking Jasmine, if I'm live streaming Jasmine and they're all of a sudden doing an operation and they're also in the neighborhood? We have to be afraid in our own neighborhoods now in America because we're watching on TV that state agents are getting away with murder. Yeah, that's America now. But what's America going to be after we get through this? I feel like I'm just going to pick up some books and talk about them. Or I know, I know. I mean, I'm going to do a separate live stream for this, but in particular, at some point, guys, I have to rant to you and praise This right here. Have you guys started exploring the autobiography of Mark Twain yet? It just started being published about 15 years ago, and this is huge. This is volume one, and it's all in the public domain. So at some point, I'm just going to read some of it. But 700 pages. This is volume one, and I've got over here volume two and three, and they're the same size. There's two and three. Sally got me my own copies when I started to check them out at the library. Now, what's so great about the autobiography of Mark Twain? What is so cool about it? And what's cool about it is that he tried to tell the autobiography by talking off the top of his head, by talking about what was happening in then that was interesting to him, what stories were relevant, and it was his critique on autobiography, because he explains here that he'd perpetually tried to write an autobiography, and that's what some of these preliminary manuscripts and dictations are. There's big chunks of it before the actual biography proper starts, or when he actually when he figured out this plan that he yeah, autobiography of Mark Twain. The actual thing starts here. It's so rich, and so it's wonderful because like, it starts in 1904. This Villa de Cuarto section is weird. It's like in Spain at the time, and he's, recalling things, but he spends so much time describing things in the room, and spends so much time about this dispute with the woman that he was renting the house from at the time. And it's just strange and weird. And then I was like, "Who is this woman?" And I had to go pages and pages of footnotes in the back. So I've got like multiple bookmarks, so to jump back and forth. So this woman who he rents this villa from, he like puts her in the biography. Just him ranting and being complaining about her taking out his phone line and stuff. And it was just very strange. That you start your biography with this ranting about the phone line, and why is that important? And it's important because it explains him trying to be honest with what's on his mind, supposedly. Because then you think, oh well, each of these is him doing a dictation, and then they type it up and so forth, and so it's an honest thing of him just dictating what's on his mind. Well, they did go and edit it afterwards. It's not like you're getting the raw thing, like you're sort of getting the raw thing from me. But is it the raw thing or no? You're never getting the raw thing straight from the author's mind. You're always getting it filtered and edited in some way or another. Even this thing from Twain, which is supposedly trying to present as, oh, this is just what's on my mind. This is just me spreading it out. But why I'm so into it is this is late Twain. This is Mark Twain, not when he was, writing Huckleberry Finn and writing his early journalism. This was him when he was an older man near the end of his life, and he's dictating most of it. So he's at the top of his game here. And it's just so rich, and so I guess the randomness of it. You don't know what you're going to bump into, and you don't know which personality you're going to bump into, and then like you'll read about some random historical person, like who was that? Well, he bumps into some famous historical person, and so then I go and read in the index, and then I pull up, get online, like who was this? And it's somebody significant, and oh, I mean, I haven't read this part yet because I haven't been up for it. Right, I started reading this bookmark here. Early part about it here is in the preliminary manuscript section about General Grant's memoirs. Mark Twain was involved in that. He was publishing of General. It says General, President Grant too, but that's obviously what was important is the Civil War and what he did there, and so um, I haven't really. I've been resisting getting into Civil War headspace right now, so that's why I kind of started this, and it was so cool. And this is cool stuff. Grant was amazing. He was an amazing man, and just starting to get into that, I was reminded, okay, he's somebody that I need to give some time to. There's the Ron Chernow has a biography of Grant, and I have it on my Kindle. I was able to get it for a few bucks on sale at one point, but I just haven't gotten to it yet because I've like I said, I've been putting off the Civil War geekery. When we there's that's the joke is that when we become middle-aged men in our 40s, we have to pick historical things to geek out over. For most men, it's going to be the Roman Empire or World War II, but I don't know if the Civil War is quite as fashionable now. I suppose it is. I mean, for men to geek out over, but I've been doing the Twain geeking, probably because of my English major background, and also because I didn't really get into American literature in college. I had a professor whose specialty was British literature, British modernism, particularly Virginia Woolf, but also James Joyce. So I've been on that kick for 20 years, and I didn't get into American literature as much. I always liked Mark Twain, but I realized last year now was the time to really get into him and explore him. And so I got a like this method of getting a bunch of books from the library, and I started exploring which one do I want to focus on. And this was the one that jumped out. And I realized now the reason it jumped out is because Twain was essentially a proto-modernist here. The autobiography of Mark Twain is actually us as Americans, our Ulysses, our Finnegan's Wake. That it was him figuring out modernism and creating a secret masterpiece that would be released 100 years after his death. That then people like me and other people would discover and be like, "Oh my goodness, okay, this is just a wonderful labyrinth to begin exploring." Like I'll show you. No. Let's take it in its totality. Yeah. Look at this. This is impressive. This is and there's just so much in here. And they changed the picture. This there's the young Mark Twain, and then there's the older. And I haven't even scratched the surface of these two. But why don't we take a look? And I'll turn the light back on. So I can get a little more light. Let's pull out something at random. Let's see some pictures. House of Commons, July 9th, 1907, seated former Prime Minister Arthur Balfour, Japanese Ambassador Komura Jitoro, and Clemens, guests of honor at a luncheon given by Sir Benjamin Stone, who also photographed the gathering. Okay, yeah, so this volume 3, we're particularly going to get even later stuff in his life. Wow, I'm such a geek. And by the way, I tried doing some of this over the summer, this autobiographical dictations method, and it's cool. It's fun to do. And I was even trying to do it a little bit with AI when I was focusing on experimenting with that, of using the LLM to like the chat. I would say something and it would ask me a question, and that was an interesting way to use it. I might experiment with that again now that when it comes to AI or the LLMs, I'm still experimenting with them. I don't obviously I've written about I don't like ChatGPT and OpenAI and Grok, but Gemini with Google, um, it's a bit better. It still makes a lot of mistakes and you can't really trust it, but it still can be useful for research and brainstorming if you're using it skeptically. And I think the way Google has it set up, like the way it doesn't remember things from chat to chat, and it's just more like a search engine. So, Life of Samuel Clemens, aka Mark Twain. Um, a few of these I really want to read in particular. Um, Part of why I got into this, the celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County. That was when Sally and I had our honeymoon. We stayed in Angels Camp, and so they celebrate that. So that was like, oh, we're here. May as well get into Mark Twain. So that was when much of this started. Um, Short story collection, Roughing It, about his going out west to his brother in the Nevada territories. I started that, and that's really good. I was really enjoying that. Thinking of in the Western context, so I'm really seeing Twain, very much in this Western, being out here in California, San Bernardino County in the desert. What else is here that I really wanted to? Yeah, those were the ones really. So yeah, I think I'm going to do some live streaming, live reading from this autobiography of Mark Twain. Maybe what we do for Oasis of the Desert. One of the things I've been thinking about it, thinking about how I might do it, because it's all in the public domain. So I can just take it and read it. Okay, we've been live streaming for a while now. I wonder if I should just say, okay, that's enough for tonight. May as well. I got through what I intended to get through, talking about my good library book haul. So, yeah, let's go ahead and finish up for tonight. So, thank you everyone for this new experimental live stream of me just ranting and rambling about the books that I happened to get from the library and why, in my research into the American conservative movement in the 1950s and 60s from the Buckley book and the Daniel Flynn biography. And I need to focus and finish the Paul Kingor. I need to finish this one. I just, I don't know. I haven't been in the right headspace for the technical side of it. The technical war, numbers and military aspects of winning the Cold War. I just haven't been in the right headspace for it. So read the first 90 page. I need to get back into it. But that I think that's the most important one that I need to finish. And so yeah, I'll finish that and finish this Principles of. I guess I should finish. I should. Yeah, maybe this would be a good comparison, since these two thin ones, and since they're already in the mix. Yeah, that's a good idea. Because some of these other ones are more recent Trumpish books. I do really want to read the Tim Miller one. I should pull this one out. Pull that one out as priority. Yeah, yeah. And I can wait on these other ones. Wait on that. Yeah, these other ones are not as important. That's what I think. Myth America, Before the Storm. Yeah, those can be. We can pass on those for now. Yeah, there we go. See, that's what I got to do with these. I get from the library, go through them a bit, and then just sort of decide, okay, how important is this? How important is that? So we'll just take these and integrate them into this sort of book table. Yeah, yeah. I'll put them over on the side here where I had the Mark Twain books. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There we go. Ah, yeah. Okay, okay. I'm all right. Just a book fall. No damage done. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. We'll put the pens over there. Pens over there. Interesting. Fine. Digging deeper. Thank you for joining us. I was just about to wrap up soon, but we'll see. So I've been talking about the different books I got from the library and figuring out which ones to read of them. I decided on these two will be the first of the priority. So we got a conservative perspective, liberal perspective. Got to finish this one first, which is two of them. Angor. Yeah, those are the ones to do first. Um, yeah, but I got this Mark Twain book. I have to return this to the library. Now I'm getting confused because some of these are due back at the library soon. I need to figure that out. That's another video. That should be another. No, that doesn't. I don't need to make a video of everything. Well, I should explore more, see what people like. Yeah, I may as well say I got a few other right wing books here too. I may as well throw these into the video. Be comprehensive. Yeah, and be more organized. I need to get organized, so I may as well. Yeah. Um, I'm a Dick Cheney guy. I'm embarrassed about that. Yeah. Stumbled into becoming sympathetic to Dick Cheney and his perspective. So I finally got his biography, made me to read it, and I started it and stopped. Not because of any problem with him, but because he starts with 9/11, and I was not in the mood to think about 9/11. So um yeah, I'm not in the mood to think about 9/11 right now, so I just stopped that. But I should get my own copy at some point. I need to do some Dick Cheney studies, and God, I'm such a geek. Other books I got from the library on the conservative right wing topic. Man, I am so disorganized, but that's okay. He's got a bigger role than people want to think about. In the right, his part of the history is often well, I mean, there's some people that've been wanting to revive and defend him, and always have been on the right. I've never found him that interesting, and McCarthyism and all of that. It just so I put off it. I mean, communism has been something I've had to focus on and learn so much about, having these ex-communist, ex-New Left mentors. But the whole McCarthyism and Red Scare, I just find it boring. I find the 50s in general boring. It's not my favorite period at all. I'm the hippie-ish 60s and 70s guy. But I realized, particularly when looking in the Buckley book, uh, McCarthy was important and significant, and I need to get that piece of things better. So that's one that goes in the right wing pile. I'm pretty sure he's more of a left wing bent, if I recall. Seems more like a straight history, I think, of conservative stuff. Phyllis Schlafly perspective, that piece of it. Now this one should be fun and interesting. Clarence Thomas piece. I've not given him enough time, but I'm not. I used to be a much bigger fan of him before the Trump years. He's not a uh, yeah. My opinion of him is kind of diminished, but I haven't taken the time to dig into his ideological background and theory as much. But this in particular is a very left wing analysis of it, as I recall, which is fine. 'Cause I like taking in the whole range of the spectrum. Get the left wing view, get the libertarian view, get the anti-Semitic views, the many anti-Semitic views. Just have to read everybody, get the broad views of things. Okay. look, if I have 8 people still, if you're all wanting to keep listening to me rant about books, maybe I should just get organized. Yeah. I'll just get I will just because I've been wanting to kind of set up what is gonna be the whiteboard table of talking about books. So, why not just set it up? We'll do it live! You guys are old enough to recognize that. Good old Bill Riley, that clip. Do it live! Okay. So, we've got the right wing library books. I think I have some over there. I might have some in this pile over there. I wanna separate them from the ones that I own. That's there any over here? Are these all ones I own? Oh, now this one, Strictly Right. This is a internal, Linda Bridges and John R. Coyne, so this is a sympathetic Buckley National Review book. Sharon Katz, thank you for joining. I'm gonna keep going. I had planned to wrap it up as I finished this initial thing of library books, but if people are gonna keep coming and wanna keep hearing me rant about a bunch of silly library books, and as I get my, like, table in order, since I wanna start doing these live streaming regularly or experimenting with it and figuring it out, because we have to. I guess this is the new medium because the kids don't read nowadays. You heard those stories? Kids showing up to college and the professors having to read to them as though they're in kindergarten? Oh my god. Ugh. I'm gonna be 42 this week and talking like I'm 87. I joke about this. It's just said too much trauma. Too much trauma. And talking like an old man. So anyway, okay. So let's get organized. Ugh. We'll put these over here. Okay. I have some over here. Is that okay? Now it's piled Buckley books. Gulag Archipelago. Yeah, I'll just leave those over here. Yeah, I piled Buckley books. Okay. Yeah, those can go there. Yeah, Calvin and Hobbes books. Okay. Hmm. What next? Yeah, I got to get better organized because I was moving them around, realizing okay, I'm in the mood to live stream now, so I might as well. Hmm. Yeah, I was kind of novels and creativity, is sort of what I had mostly out here. Let's see here. Got this poetry collection books. I'm trying to just get more creative, more into the art again. But I don't know. Shakespeare, Emily Dickinson, Carl Sandburg, Walt Whitman, Robert Frost. Honestly, I love poetry. I've published poetry. I'm going to publish more of it. But I, I've never been a Robert Frost person. I do like Walt Whitman some. Um, not a big Carl Sandburg. And believe it or not, I'm not a big Shakespeare fan. As I've been saying that, it's the British modernism period that I really like. So I'm more choosy with Shakespeare. I guess Macbeth in particular. I have fondness for Macbeth. I think that's my favorite Shakespeare. But in general, I acknowledge, of course, great artist and important in Western civilization. But no, um, generally not I'm not going to be excited to go see a Shakespeare play or oh, there's a Shakespeare adaptation of this. I haven't gotten into them. I mean, maybe at some point, but overall, it's just not my period. I think so. How about to get organized? We'll put these back. Yeah. However, Emily Dickinson, I love her. Emily Dickinson, I love her. Yeah, she's amazing. I need to give her more time. In the name of the bee, and of the butterfly, and of the breeze. Amen. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell. They'd banish us, you know. How dreary to be somebody. How public like a frog. To tell your name the livelong day to an admiring bog. Yeah. Yeah, I love her. They dropped the flakes, they dropped like stars, like petals from a rose, when suddenly across the June a wind with fingers goes. They perished in the seamless grass, no eye could find the place, but God can summon every face on his repeal list. Yeah, yeah, I need to give her some more time. She's yeah, so that's the one. That's the one that we'll give some time to. Pull that out. Give her some more time. Yeah, I think I should organize my library books for the table. That's the plan. Because it's just such a mess. Just such a mess with my books and library books. Um, hmm, what else? No, because I have them scattered all over the place. I have some on that shelf and some on that shelf. They're all mixed together. I'm just a mess. As everyone knows, I've been a mess with anxiety from the miscarriage and subsequent family drama that has ensued. So, family drama. Yeah. So, what should I? Yeah, let's just get the library books here. So, I'll get better organized. Here are a few books I haven't gotten to yet because they've been low priority. When I was when I was studying AI, I read the realization. Okay, it's artificial intelligence. It's not artificial creativity. I started thinking about okay, difference between intelligence and creativity. So I got a few books about creativity. So those are on the to-do list. Let's put these on the side like that. Sorry, don't mean to scare you guys. So creativity books. Then I've got this book because I was doing some disinformation research. So I guess that should go with this one here. This one's due back at the library soon. Let's see if I can get those researched soon. I can put it for here for now on the conservative pile because obviously that's unfortunately kind of yeah. Now for this, I'll just put this pile here of my to read pile. I'll put that in the center. So this way I'm kind of grouping together. Yeah, there we go. These are some of my books, so it's breaking it a little bit. But what other like? Well, yeah, I've got that big pile of Saudi Arabia books. No, I should just have all the library books in the same place. That will be the best way to keep myself sane. So let's just do that. And it's entertainment for whoever. Try to entertain the people. Okay, yeah, I've got library books mixed in here. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. Okay. Other books of since I've been studying Saudi Arabia, the Arab monarchies, Dubai, that's been a UAE, it's been a priority. This is a cool book I found. I haven't been too impressed by the art. It's been kind of a boring art style. So I haven't fully gotten the into the groove to spend this much headspace with Putin yet. Um, of all the Saudi Arabia books and authors, this one in particular I'm really interested in. Robert Lacey as an author. I've seen other books by him. I've got a book by him about Meyer Lansky. So this one looks pretty good. So I'm prioritizing some of these. Get Dubai, get Putin, get this, get more thinking about Saudi Arabia. I'm having to think much more about Saudi Arabia lately as Iran and Hamas are becoming less of a threat, less of a concern. Um, I got this before. I guess I'll put this in the right wing pile. Um, this I'm excited about. Biography of Dr. Seuss. I got a good Dr. Seuss kick over Christmas, as some of you may recall. I've got to play the Grinch role for Christmas, so um, yeah, I'm really into the Grinch now for Christmas. I think that's going to be my vibe. So this seems to be a pretty well regarded Dr. Seuss biography. I think it makes sense to put the Putin book with the disinformation books. Dubai, Inside the Kingdom. I want to do this one, but it just doesn't seem high enough priority right now. Put it over here for now. Middle East. These I need to pull. No, these I need to pull out. This is high priority there. Kind of pulling them out to ones, making a new pile of library books, and yeah, getting better organized. I've gotten this one before, and I wasn't overly impressed by her approach, but I need to revisit it, and it actually has some data here that's of use. Yeah. Uh, pull out the Mark Twain biography because that needs to go back. Hmm. Okay, I think we're getting there. We're getting there. What other library books are floating around? Okay, nothing on that show. I should get the pile of Saudi Arabia books. Oh, here they are. Here's all the different. Okay. Uh, yeah, let's pull out Saudi Arabia books and add that. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Good. Okay, I'm getting closer. Getting closer. Okay, so I've got because in the AI research that Sally and I started, bumped into Saudi Arabia being a significant concern. So got a bunch of books on Saudi Arabia because I hadn't made Saudi Arabia the biggest issue for me because I'd been more focused on Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas for most of my career. So lots of different Saudi perspectives. And so the chauffeur's perspective about the Saudi US relationship. Focus on Prince Bandar bin Sultan. Prince Bandar. Do we have any? So we got two on Prince Bandar. Let's put those together. Saudi Arabia exposed. Yeah, I haven't even like gotten to this pile yet. This is what'll happen sometimes with my research. I'll get out a dozen books on something and then get distracted, and they'll just sit. And I'll keep renewing them as needed. Okay, we'll put the Saudi Arabia books on the end here. Ugh. Speaking of on the edge here, since I'm doing book talk, I may as well praise a particular book that I got from the library and have been was so impressed by that got my own copy. I need to reread it more carefully. Right here. On the Edge by Nate Silver. This one is very much worth reading and worth even picking up. And that really surprised me. Because I got this, well, Sally and I were starting the AI research, and and looking at it, is this a book about AI? It actually is, because he interviews in here Sam Bankman-Fried. He's got original reporting, original journalism that he did, and he has a unique perspective. And he's able to knit together and explain kind of the relationship between AI, Silicon Valley, venture capitalism, and in particular, gambling. I was annoyed with this book at first because I didn't understand, why do I have to read 200 pages why do I have to read this part 1 on gambling? Why does it seem like there's multiple books? It seems like he jammed together multiple books. Why is this important? And the answer is, it's very important to understand gambling and poker and Las Vegas and those aspects, to understand venture capitalism and to understand what's driving this artificial intelligence LLM stuff, that a lot of it is flat out gambling. They're pouring money into stuff knowing that a lot of it will fail. And so you have to, and on the edge, in terms of Sam Bankman-Fried, I still need, well, that's another pile of the books here. I got a whole pile of stupid books on crypto and Bitcoin and all of that crap that I have to learn and understand better. I've been putting it off because I've known that it's a scam. I didn't want to get involved in that. You know, it's so annoying hearing about crypto and the tech bros and all of that obnoxious stuff that we've all known as Ponzi scheme scam. But now I have to research it and understand it because of its role in fueling anti-Semitism and financing terrorism and crime. So it's a national security threat. So I have to learn about it. It's annoying. But speaking of the annoying crypto, I may as well grab those now. Of course, the video was like, "Oh yeah, well, I'll just talk about a few library books." Instead, I'm like going through all of them because you guys are going to hang around. I may as well. Yeah, yeah, this is me. Want to learn about Bitcoin? Go and check out books from the library. I'm a geek. Do the literature review. Yeah, read what other people have written first. Simple. So that means we've got, I've started this. It's pretty good. Like this, I need to finish it. Basic critique of crypto, and it's good. This I've always resisted. I'm not a big fan of like Ben Mesrich because it's kind of factual but novelized, and but whatever. It's a perspective I need to know. And then blockchain, age of cryptocurrency. Let's see. And then in this pile of crypto stuff, I also have books on particular person related. Mark Andreessen, Web Warrior. It's like a book for kids. It did books about like who are the people that invented the internet. And I just searched what are the books that I can get about Andreessen. So this was like 2001. Books for kids. Kid version. Mark Andreessen and Jim Clark, the founders of Netscape. Oh God. Look at this. 90s book. Oh, 2007. Okay. Recent development of the web browser. So, yeah, silly. And he's in here too. Biographies about people that invented the internet. Gets the last one. Navigator on the net. Okay. And now he's pouring his money into all kinds of stuff that's destroying the world. Okay, where am I going to put these? I know. Let's move this pile here. Ugh, There we go. And I got a pile of thick novels here that I own that are somewhat okay. Let's move that because I'm wanting to bring the library books together. Got the crypto books here. Um, oh, I guess this makes sense. Yeah, yeah. I've got the damn crypto books there. It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, this is another one I've been putting off. The Facebook books. This is one that I've owned for years. I've been putting off because it's like one of those things that okay, I know this stuff already, but how much time do I want to spend digging into it? And I kind of have to now as or will as part of the AI research. Getting the whole Facebook's angle on it. Mark Zuckerberg, and he's really screwed up on this. Facebook is not going to lead in the AI LLM space. He's made some bad decisions, and I don't foresee him jumping back. But we'll see. Okay, what other library? Yeah, got a few others. Oh, these are going to be fun. Okay, yeah, I guess these would be the miscellaneous pile that I can put in with this becoming Dr. Seuss and this generation's book. Yeah, put those there. Um, I got a bunch of desert books. This is, of course, our Joshua Tree area. And I'm beginning to get books about Africa since I'm starting bigger Africa studies. And I'm also, in part of that, I know some of you aren't going to like this one. Yeah, yeah, the whole, okay, climate change, it's here now. The whole debate over is climate changing. Yeah, it's changing. Doesn't matter really, what's causing it, or if you want to blame the right or the left for it. The temperature's changing, so we have to adapt to it. So I'll see what I've been putting. Yeah, it wasn't my debate. Like I said, I've been in the hawkish space. So watching the whole left right debate over is global warming happening? What does global warming mean? Oh, it's climate change now. Oh, it's that now. I'm not. Climate science isn't my area. So I have my views on it. But who cares what I think? I don't need to jump in at that debate. I decided I didn't need to be general pundit talking about everything. Let Ben Shapiro do that. Yeah, this will be fun. Library book geek. And I'll get better at the cinematography. This is still experimenting with the format, the medium. So I'm gonna put the Gen Z book or the generations book with the Facebook book because that's the millennial factor there is gonna be important. So let's put the Dr. Seuss and this will be our generic because all the other ones I've got pretty good themes, I think. Hmm. Yeah, I'll just put it on the edge because I want to kind of like make a little wall of books. I think that'll make it interesting. Live streaming as I'm setting up the stage and figuring out the stage. Why not? Like the authenticity. Put this Nate Silver book on the Bitcoin pile. I don't want to mix up the library. Oh, these are other ones that I had on the Facebook pile too. I'm the book, the Jean Twenge books. She has earlier ones on iGen, the Gen Zers, and Generation Me, the millennials, and so on. You can get her perspective more of a you know because I'm sympathetic, of course, as I've written about her and Jonathan Haidt, the critique of smartphones and influence on the young. I generally tend to agree with them. I think, and I got her book on 10 rules for parents and started it. And yeah, I can't handle that right now. I cannot think about kids and family right now. I'm too raw from Miscarriage 7 on Thanksgiving and the family's responses. I'm just so I started that book and the 10 rules are good. They do make sense. Um, so I do think parents should probably look at that, but I couldn't actually read and see the case. I already know the case, so I didn't need to get the details. Well, I mean, I will at some point if I want to write about it. But this is feeling a little bit better. But the Mark Twain books, yeah, I'm trying to figure out where to put the charger and the power. So I figured out previously with live streaming that if I need to keep the charger in, otherwise the battery will just rain down and I'll have to stop. Yeah, so let's put the Mark Twain books on the edge here, over here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That there. Now this is a collection of his columns for National Review, and now that I'm really getting back into exploring him, thanks to Slim biography, let me let's put these over in that pile there. Guess I can put them on the bottom. It's kind of bottom priority right now. Yeah, yeah, because I'm making the priority the Kangor and the death of conservatism, like I talked about. Yeah, looking good. Got markers, got eraser. Let's see, miscellaneous on the edge there. Yeah. So you guys got some extra tonight, not just me talking about the library books, but organizing what I have here. So how many do I have them all here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. I feel like I have some more. Oh, of course. I pulled some out. 51, 56, 57, 58, 59. Okay, there we go. That is my level of book publisher geekery. I have 59 books from library. And believe it or not, um, I didn't. This is more than usual for me because I didn't know that my limit was 60. I thought my limit was 50. So I've been stopping before 50, and now it's actually 60. Maybe they increased it. I don't know. I don't understand how they figure these things. How many people are as geeky as I am to want to check out 50 library books at a time? I suppose I should give myself a little credit and be like, okay, I'm doing research. This is research. Jasmine girl. She's snoozing. 59 books from the library. Okay. I've made a little bit of order out of the chaos, haven't I? I've given you all a few things to think about. So I think I can call it a night now. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And I'll try and do some more live streaming tomorrow as we keep exploring this new medium that they want us to do. Take care, everyone.